All right, this video is to explain the index card activity, the very last index card activity that we are going to do that is specifically for equilibrium. So first off, you need to go and have a sheet of paper that is not part of your notes that you can turn in, and you're going to write one thing that can be bought or sold at the top of your paper. Okay, so it doesn't matter what it is, but be specific as possible. So don't just talk about pizza. Pizza from where? What kind of pizza? Okay. Then you are going to partner up with one other person in the room, and just like before, you're going to get a set of cards. But this time you're going to get two sets of cards. So you're going to get two sets of cards. One set that's going to be demand, one set that's going to be supply. Okay. And you're going to make sure that you write your name and your partner's name on your paper. Not on the cards, on your paper. So make sure you have both of your names on your paper. Make sure I know which one is whose paper this actually is and who's the partner. Then with the cards that you have, you're going to take the paper clips off both of them. Do not lose the paper clips. And you're going to mix both sets together. So you're going to mix them together, shuffle them like a deck of cards. Okay? And then you're going to put them face down between the two of you, and you're going to have one person draw a card, and they are going to give their partner an example for the item on their paper. Now that's stuff that we've done this a couple of times with demand and supply. Okay, so you should be used to that. So you're going to take turns giving your examples for your partner's item. Now, every time you do this, okay, on your partner's paper, on each person's paper, you are going to then write a few things. And this is different, so you guys got to pay attention right now. So first off, you're going to write your partner's example. So whatever example they give you, you're going to write that on your paper. And then normally I asked you to tell me what factor they use, but this time I want you to figure out if it's a supply issue or a demand issue. Now you need to know the factor to be able to determine that. And so your partner should not tell you what factors on that card that they're using. You're going to have to use those two charts that we did for chapter 4 and chapter 5 to help you. But you're going to have to figure out, okay, is this a supply issue or a demand issue? So write down whether it's supply or demand. And then I want you to figure out, is it a right or left shift for your supply or demand issue? Okay, again, I'm not specifically asking for the factor, but if you know the factor, that's going to help you figure out if it's supply or demand, and it's also going to help you figure out if it's a right or left shift. And then you're going to draw the graph. When you draw the graph, you need to make sure you are now including supply and demand on that graph, and then you're going to draw the shift. Okay, so you start off with an X, and then you draw your shift. And then lastly, you have to tell me what happens to equilibrium. Remember, you cannot tell me equilibrium goes up or equilibrium goes down. That is incomplete. Equilibrium has two parts, price and quantity. You need to tell me what happens to both of them because they don't always go in the same direction. Right? And then once you are done, you should you and your partner should have 6 examples each. This is different than when we did it with demand and supply. I want you to have 6 examples, not 5. 6 examples each. And then you're going to turn your paper, both papers, into the tray, and you're going to separate your cards back into supply and demand sets. So you're going to have a set of cards. You're going to have 14 cards. I want you to separate them back into supply and demand, put the paper clips on both sets. Use your charts to help you. Use that chart for the factors that cause a change in demand, the chart that factors that cause a change in supply. Return the cards, make sure they go in the right pile. So demand goes in the demand pile, supply goes in the supply pile. If you mess this up, you're messing it up for the next class. So make sure you do it correctly. So let's talk example. All right, so let's say that my item on my partner's paper is Pizza Hut pizza. I know I keep talking about pizza. So let's say that the item on their paper they chose was Pizza Hut pizza. And I draw a card and it says cost of inputs. Okay, so I'm going to give them the example that, and so part A, it says partner's example. So I give them the price of cheese increases. That's cost of input. So now my partner, I'm not going to tell my partner it says cost of inputs. They have to figure out, oh wait, this is cost of inputs? That's a supply thing. So, okay, so then they're going to write down supply. And then they have to figure out, okay, wait, okay, the price of cheese increases. That means they can't buy as much cheese, so they can't make as much pizza, so that's going to be a left shift in supply. Okay, so part C is a left shift. And then they're going to have to draw the graph. So when you draw the graph, it should start like this. You must have demand and supply on the graph. You must have both of them labeled. You must have your axes labeled. If you don't, I will tell you you need to fix that. Okay? So start with this. Even though this is a supply issue, notice I still have the demand curve on there. Okay? And now I'm going to draw my left shift in supply, which remember is here. So now I'm drawing my left shift. Now the last part is what happens to equilibrium. If I need to, I will draw in those dotted lines saying, okay, here's my original price, here's my original quantity, here's my new price, here's my new quantity. If I need to do that, I'll do that, okay? But in my case, I don't. So I know that the equilibrium price, because here's my original price, here's my new price, the equilibrium price went up. And the quantity, because here's my original quantity, here's my new quantity, the quantity went down. So I'm going to write price increase, quantity decrease. And if you want to use arrows, you can use arrows. That's fine. So that would be what I would write for one example on my paper. Okay? And then it would be my partner's turn to give me an example for the item on my paper. And I would write down whatever they tell me. Now, again, you need to do 6 of these, 6 examples total. Okay? And then after you're both done and you turn it in, then yes, I do have an article for you to read on Canvas. The article I have to read on Canvas is under the Chapter 6 module. It is under the in-class materials, and it's called 5 Reasons Why College Tuition is So Darn High. Before you read this, I want you to pay attention to these 2 things. First of all, I want you to pay attention to what does the article actually say is the cause of tuition increases. We talked about what you think causes the price of college to be so expensive before, but you know, this is actually looking at that. And then secondly, why do you think there is still an increasing amount of students that go to college or people that go to college even though the price is increasing? So I want you to pay attention to that. Okay. Ultimately, on Canvas, so this is Chapter 6 on Canvas, you're going to go under where it says in-class handouts. It says 5 reasons why college tuition is so darn high. Underneath that it says college tuition article questions. Okay? There are 5 questions that I want you to answer with your partner. Again, you're going to answer it on one paper, but you're going to have both of your names on it and you're going to turn it in. Okay? So please make sure that you are careful and pay attention to that. I will address any issues that you have with that when I come back to class. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will talk to you later. Thanks.